a medical team. According to information provided by Kiev Air Traffic Control, the location of the plane's emergency locator beacon is 48 degrees 7 minutes and 23 seconds north and 38 degrees 31 minutes and 33 seconds east. The Ukrainian authorities believe that the plane was shot down. At this stage, however, Malaysia is unable to verify the cause of this tragedy. But we must, and we will, find out precisely what happened to this flight. No stone will be left unturned. If it transpires that the plane was indeed shot down, we insist that the perpetrators must swiftly be brought to justice. Emergency operations centers have been established. In the last few hours, Malaysian officials have been in constant contact with their counterparts in Ukraine and elsewhere. And I will be speaking to a number of world leaders over the coming hours. I've had several conversations with the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. I have also spoken to the President of Ukraine. He has pledged that there will be a full, thorough and independent investigation, and Malaysian officials will be invited to take part. The Ukrainian President also confirmed that his government will negotiate with rebels in the east of the country in order to establish a humanitarian corridor to the crash site. Just now, I received a call from President Obama. He and I both agreed that the investigation must not be hindered in any way. An international team must have full access to the crash site, and no one should interfere with the area or move any debris, including the black box. This is a tragic day in what has already been a tragic year for Malaysia. As we work to understand what happened, our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of those on board the flight. I cannot imagine what they must be going through at this painful time. The flight's passengers and crew came from many different countries, but today, regardless of nationality, we are all united in grief. Thank you.
That's the Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak confirming that the aircraft was brought down, it was shot down, and saying that on this tragic day and a tragic year for his country, his thoughts are very much with the families of those who were on board MH17. He said that he'd spoken to President Obama, who had agreed that there should be a safe corridor created to give access to this particular part of the Donetsk region where this plane came down, there'll be negotiation with rebels in that part of the country to ensure that that safe passage is possible to get to the crash site. Well, our correspondent Marika Oy is in Singapore, and she was listening to the Malaysian Prime Minister speak, and yet another tragic incident for people in that part of the world to have to cope with, Marika.
Indeed, I think it's fair to say that the immediate reaction that I've seen on social media like Twitter, as well as among my own friends in the region, has been not again to Malaysian Airlines. Of course, the circumstances are very, very different. MH17, which disappeared in March, we still don't know what happened to that plane. There were a lot of speculations back then and continuing to be. Of course, this time around, the circumstances are quite different, but nevertheless, it is a very tragic incident, as the Prime Minister of Malaysia has just emphasised that it's been a tragic year for his country.
And saying at the very beginning of the press conference that there will be a rescue team, a disaster assistance team, medical team sent to Kiev to try to help, because now, of course, for all the wrong reasons, they have very great expertise in dealing with cases like this.
Indeed, Malaysian Airlines, they had to deal with it, as well as the Malaysian government had to deal with the disappearance of MH17, and coincidentally the country's transport minister, he's now on his way back to KL, but he was in fact in Beijing to talk about the disappearance of MH17, because of course passengers of that plane were mainly Chinese nationalities. So there was a lot of criticism towards the Malaysian government, how they handle that crisis, but this time around they seem to be coming to speak to the press quite quickly. We heard from senior ministers on Twitter, as well as a statement since Malaysian Airlines has announced about 5 hours ago that it had lost contact with MH17. So they've been very limited, but a lot of information from the authorities as well as the carrier, as much as they had.
Mariko, thank you very much. Mariko Oy in Singapore. We can take you now to a news conference which is underway at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, the departure point of this flight.
The aircraft departed Amsterdam at 12:15 Amsterdam local time and was estimated to arrive at Kuala Lumpur at 6:10 in the morning local time. The flight was carrying 280 passengers and 15 crew on board. Now, the nationality of the crew are all Malaysian, 15 crew. Complement the 4 flight deck crew, 2 first officers, 2 captains, and 11 cabin crew. All the cabin crew, once again, are Malaysian nationals. We have opened a local contact number here in Amsterdam for the next of kin. That is our main priority at this moment, to look after these people who are suffering at this moment. And that is our greatest attention at this point of time. Hopefully you can appreciate that. The number we've opened here in Amsterdam is, for the international, is +31 70 348 770. Families and next of kin are encouraged to contact that number. We've also got a line, emergency number in Kuala Lumpur, but obviously we prefer to handle it here because of time differences. But obviously in Kuala Lumpur we've got 24-hour emergency response team is 24 hours in operation. Now, just to give you a bit of background on the nationalities, as we know at this point of time, 154 Dutch passengers were on board the aircraft, 27 Australian passengers, 23 Malaysian, 11 Indonesian, 6 from the UK, 4 from Germany, 4 from Belgium, 3 from the Philippines, and 1 Canadian. Now, the rest we have not yet identified